those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Enjoy being educated in such topics as personal injury law, community association law, family law, bankruptcy law, along with health show topics like pain management, men's health, and dental implants. Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Hines. I'm filling in for Steve-O. He is out on medical leave. Tonight I'm joined by Marlon Weiner, a real estate attorney. How you doing tonight, Marlon?
Doing great. Nice to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I know rush hour is a difficult time to get here, but appreciate it.
We made it.
Yeah.
We made it.
So tell me a little bit about your firm.
I'm a solo practitioner here in Boca. My practice is pretty much a split between real estate and business transactions. Here we're probably going to focus more on the real estate side of my practice. So I handle real estate closings for residential and commercial properties, start to finish, handle from the smallest condo to large shopping center transactions, representing buyers, sellers, landlords, tenants, and I'm also a licensed title insurance agent.
So you do a lot. You have a lot under that umbrella.
I think so.
How long have you been in business?
Well, I've been practicing law almost 40 years. Long time.
So you're experienced for sure.
Highly experienced.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to University of Pennsylvania Law School in Philadelphia.
Good school.
Yes, and has served me very well. And practiced law there for about 27 years, licensed in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, and moved to Florida in '05. And now I just focus on Florida.
Was it hard to get licensed in Florida? Was it?
Well, it's everybody has to go through the same thing, whether you're just graduated law school or you're doing it, several decades later. You've got to study and take the bar exam. There's no easy route here. You take the bar exam and you hopefully pass, go through your admission process, and once you're admitted, there you are.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, I know you deal a lot with first-time homebuyers.
Absolutely.
And it's a stressful process. It can be overwhelming. There's a lot of information that you have to consider and things you have to do. What's some tips that you would give first-time home buyers?
I'm glad you brought this up because I actually, before I was here, was actually with a realtor, and we were actually talking about first-time home buyers and how confused they are and how anxious they are about the process. And the most important thing I could say is that a first-time home buyer should get pre-qualified. You really have to back into the process from finding out what you can afford to buy. That is the most important thing. Get pre-qualified with a lender so you know what your budget is. You can't go look at a $500,000 house if your budget is $250,000. So
unless this was 2006, 2007 all over again, right?
Exactly. So you need to work backwards from what can you afford. And that will set your budget. Then you can start exploring what neighborhoods. But you start with the finances first. Make sure that you're ready. Sometimes you'll go to get pre-qualified and maybe your credit isn't where it's supposed to be, or maybe you don't have enough of a down payment, and you can set a plan. Okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z over the next 6 months or a year to get myself ready to buy a home.
Do you recommend they go to the top 3 banks and then try to
Not necessarily. I mean, they can go to a good mortgage broker. They can go to one of, the banks, we typically Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, or work with a mortgage broker. Any of those resources will work. I mean, they're basically all going to lead them through the same process of looking at the same financial information and get you pre-qualified. Let's see what you can afford.
And let's say you are dealing with a person who has bad credit or they have a ding on their credit rating. What can they do?
Well, fortunately, today there are a variety of loan options for people who don't have perfect credit, and most people don't have perfect credit. One of the great programs that's out there, and people often forget about it because it's been around for so many years, is the FHA loan. FHA loan works with a down payment of 3.5%.
Wow.
And that can be gift money. So, it can also be contributed by the seller via, a credit. So you can really get into a property with a very low down payment. Some people, they're scared off. I'll never have enough money to buy a house. I need to save up an enormous down payment. That's not really true. you can work with FHA.
And FHA is for first-time home buyers only, or
No,
for?
no, it's not just for first-time home buyers.
Okay.
So they have programs. They have a number of programs. The qualification with FHA is that there are limits in terms of the amount you can borrow with FHA.
So you're looking at a lower,
Exactly.
lower income property type thing?
Well,
or lower?
I think we're up to somewhere. Don't really quote me on this, but I think we're somewhere in the 360s or 370s even
okay.
at this point
Okay.
on the mortgage amount.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not buying $1 million property with an FHA loan,
Yeah.
but it still covers many homes that a first-time home buyer would probably be looking at. And I have many clients who've purchased their first homes with
Through that?
FHA loan. Yeah, it's a terrific program.
What are some of the cons with it?
The cons with it is, the biggest one is that you're going to have mortgage insurance. Because you're putting less than 20% down, you're going to have that extra mortgage insurance premium up front. It's typically rolled into the loan, so it makes the loan amount to start a little bit higher. And it adds about a couple of $100 a month to your mortgage payment.
Okay.
So many first-time home buyers who will go FHA will look for a window to refinance as soon as they can to get out of that mortgage insurance.
How long do they have to have that mortgage insurance?
At this point, for most FHA loans, it's going to stay on pretty much for the length of the loan. There are some loans that were written depending on the time, the amount, some specific terms of the loan that it would burn off at a certain time when you've reached certain, debt equity ratios. But most borrowers get out of it by refining down the road. So they use that FHA loan as a stepping stone.
And under what situations would you recommend that someone do a refinance, and what qualifies them to be able to do that?
Well, I mean, qualification is always going to be the same underwriting process that they go through for any loan.
Okay.
But why people refinance, there's a number of reasons. I mean, typically they're watching the market for rates. So when rates go down, it's an opportunity to lower your payment, or for some people to go from a 30 to a 15, because that differential on rate might make that a possibility. For some people, it's an opportunity to maybe do a cash out refi. They want to take some money out, maybe use it for an investment property. Maybe they want to do home improvements. So there's a number of reasons why people would want to do a refinance.
So when they refinance, they can get money that they can pull out to actually fix the home?
Yes, there can be opportunities for that. But when you look at a refi, when you're looking at a straight refi, that's just basically, I'm getting a reduction in interest rate. We typically want to analyze that and look at it in terms of how long are you staying in that property. To see if the costs, because you're going to have closing costs that are going to be associated with any refinance. It's still a loan.
Okay.
You'll have closing costs. Am I going to get it back?
So you're paying closing costs twice, because you pay it when you got the original loan, and then the refinance. It's like doing it all over again.
Correct. So you have to see, when are you going to reach that turning point that it will have made sense, that the savings, because of the lower interest rate, will offset those closing costs. And you play out the amortization schedule, you look at the numbers, and you may see that, within a year and a half, it's made sense. Within 3 years, it will make sense. But
So you may not see that for until years to come.
Exactly. So if you're going to be in the property a long term, it can make sense. If you're moving in a year, it's not going to make sense to spend an awful lot on closing costs to just get a quick rate reduction.
Right. And if they sell the home, capital gains is still 2 years?
Well, typically in a sale of a home, what's going to happen is you're going to typically fit into an exemption that it's basically you have a $500,000 exemption for a married couple, $250,000 exemption for a single person.
What do you mean exemption?
That the gain on a sale. So for argument's sake, you bought your home for $250,000 and you sold it for $500,000. And I'm not making any adjustments for improvements or anything like that. Just a quick math.
Okay.
That $250,000 gain for a couple would be completely sheltered. There would be no tax due.
Because they have up to $500,000?
Up to $500,000. But if you bought
So it's tax-free, and then do you have to put it in a home immediately?
No, you do not. No, you do not.
Okay.
Okay.
That's changed, hasn't that?
That has changed.
When did that change?
A while back.
Okay.
A while back.
Was that after 2008 when the big...
It was before that, but it has changed, but the distinction, and unfortunately, it's a disadvantage because if you're a single person, you're not getting that full.
You got to go grab a husband or a wife to take
Something
that
like
advantage,
that to get that extra $250. At the higher levels, it's not going to shelter all that gain. But at the
lower levels, you get some benefit.
Yes, you're not going to pay tax on a gain when you're selling your home in most instances.
In South Florida, are people flipping their property that quickly, or are they staying long term into their properties?
It's all over the place. I mean, so many people's moves are driven by, their personal lives,
jobs,
exactly,
families.
job change, family. Have they outgrown their home? They have more children. They don't fit.
Yeah.
Transfers. So there's no rhyme or reason to why somebody makes a move.
Yeah.
But I think in Florida, I think people like new. And, we're still building new communities in Florida, and people love to go see the models, and they get excited to see new homes. And I think
there's a lot of stuff coming up, too.
Exactly.
I mean, building out west, out into Parkland, up to the Everglades.
Exactly. And I think people do like to buy new houses, and that is just exciting.
Yeah, I do like new homes, but I have to say the older ones seem to be built more, sturdy.
Different time and place.
Yeah.
But so people make moves for all different reasons.
Yeah. Well, give them your name and number. Give everybody your name and number.
Yes, it's Marlon Weiner. Office number in Boca is 561-443-7124.
And is there a website for you where
Absolutely,
they can find you?
mwfloridalaw.com.
We're going to go to a short commercial break, and when we come back, let's go through and talk some more about the process after getting pre-qualified.
Sure.
What first-time home buyers need to do.
Absolutely.
Back after the short break.
The law firm of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Weiner combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlon Weiner works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.
But I'm not the business advisor.
And we are back with Marlon Weiner. Marlon, let's go into more detail and talk about, so let's say I went through the process. I've been qualified for a loan. I know where I stand, and I've been looking. What's next?
Well, you should be working with a realtor, somebody that you've hopefully have some chemistry with, understands what you're looking for, and it doesn't happen immediately. You've got to figure that out together.
It's like dating.
A little bit, in fact, a lot like it. And you've got to, figure out where you should be looking. I mean, what neighborhood? If you've got children, are you looking at schools? Commute to work. So many factors that go into it. But you should be honing down on a number of communities and start looking at houses. I mean, that's where it starts. And eventually, you're going to want to put in an offer on a property. And that the realtor will typically put together a contract. If I'm involved as an attorney, I'll be reviewing that before you sign and submit, because typically I'll want to make some changes that better protect you or clarify some terms, and then you'll submit that offer to the seller.
And when will a home buyer know they need a real estate attorney? Because not everybody uses one, but it can be very helpful because it protects you. But
Listen, I think it's important to have an attorney before you sign the contract. That's when you need me. Because once you've signed the contract, I can certainly tell you what you signed, but I can't change anything. And I can't say, oops, you should have signed. We missed something there.
Too bad.
I mean, I just had this happen yesterday with a very expensive property that there were about a half a dozen things that really needed to be in the contract. Fortunately, my client had not signed yet. We have an opportunity to, make the revisions that are important. That's why he hired me when he did.
Yeah. Now,
It's
typically, do they
important.
just need you for 10 hours of work or a week? I mean, how does that work?
It's either when I work with people on a home purchase, either a buyer or a seller, my fees are a flat fee so that they have as much time with me as they need. They're not worried about a billable hour. I do it on a flat fee. Flat
fee, yeah.
a flat fee basis, so that they are covered and they're not worried about that. They know
It takes
that.
the stress out.
Exactly, they know exactly what their budget is for legal fees, and that way they have me from start to finish through the closing.
And do you find that, particularly with these gated HOA communities, that things get a bit tedious, and that's definitely when you need to be looking more at your paperwork and having a lawyer review things?
Where that comes into play, it's really what your objective is with the property. For example, if you are looking to buy a property in an HOA or condo association community and you intend to rent it out, it's critical that somebody looks at those governing documents because many communities have restrictions on rentals. Some completely prohibit them. You can never rent out the property.
Wow.
Some restrict it that you have to hold the property for a year or two before you can rent it out. You need to know. Age restrictions in communities. Obviously, we have 55 and older communities. We have 65 and older communities. You need to know.
I didn't realize they had broken it down now to 65 and older versus 55 and older.
Yeah, mostly 55 and older, but there are some, there are some nuances. There are some communities that strictly enforce those provisions, meaning that they won't let someone's child visit unless that 55 and older parent is with them at the community.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, where others, fine, have your daughter use it when you're not there. Some of them, no. You must have the age-appropriate owner with you if you're in residence. So you need to know that.
I hear so many people say, God, I didn't realize this was going to be an issue and this was the rule. And I get here and, my neighbor's peeking over and I have a plastic container in the bushes. And
Well, you listen.
little things. And nobody can see it, but my neighbor has to be walking around.
They have a variety of rules.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them don't allow commercial vehicles to be parked in driveways. I
Right.
mean, and so these are rules. You do have an opportunity to review the rules and regulations early in the process, and there is a cancellation period.
And so people often use you for that, correct?
Yes, they will.
To kind of help break things down.
They will send. I will get those emailed over to me, and I will review them, and I'll let people know. These are the kind of the red flag issues. Is this
Right.
of concern to you? On the other hand, many people appreciate being in a community with an association because it means that there'll be maintenance.
You bet.
There'll be uniformity in terms of how properties are maintained. You know what I mean? There's
Resale
secure.
value will be
Exactly.
high.
You have a gate. There's security. So there's a lot of pluses.
Benefits,
There's a lot of pluses, but you have to follow the rules.
Right. And if you're not going to, you shouldn't move in there, right?
Then you really
'Cause you're
don't
gonna
know.
have a problem.
If you're a rebel, you probably don't belong there. It's not where you should be.
Another question for you. So you're advising your clients, you're looking at the contract. Are you able to kind of give them some feedback on whether they're getting a good deal?
That I don't really see that as my role. What I do is ask them the question. Have you seen comps on the property? How much do you know about values in this area? Have you done your homework? And if they haven't, then I ask them, ask your realtor to give you an analysis. Make sure that you're comfortable with the purchase price. That this is what the value. And again, it's a moving target because values change. Values go up, values go down. So, appraising a property is not a perfect science. We do the best that we can.
Yeah, to estimate and hope
Exactly.
that the market holds.
Exactly. But, we have lived through a time when, things went badly. Went sour, went the wrong way. And a lot of people remember it well. So,
Do you think we're due for a course correction
I don't know.
here in South Florida? 'Cause
I can't say that. You always say, can it go any higher? We don't know. I think that there's I look at certain segments of the market, I think continue to be extremely strong. I always see the single family market as being very, very strong.
What about multifamily dwellings? Investing in that. Where do you see that?
Again, that's not really mine. I defer to the realtors on that. I see where I see some softening is in the condo market, particularly in Miami.
You mean the prices are going down some?
Well, because again, we're in a time of overbuilding, and so we have
okay.
so much new product has come on the market, and there's just a lot out there and not enough people to absorb it. I think we have a 3-year inventory right now.
Do you just feel that's in Miami, or is that in Boca as well? Or
I don't think we have as much in Boca. I know in Hallandale and Hollywood, which I'm also familiar with, we have a very large inventory that is not going to be absorbed very quickly.
Wow.
So it's not across the board. This market has different segments. And older buildings become a tougher sell.
oh,
I think that's part of it
people
too.
want new, like you said earlier.
Exactly. So I say the older condo buildings, it gets tougher to sell. Older units and older buildings.
So there's a lot on the market in that area.
Yes. But as I said, the single family continues to be strong. I'm seeing those prices,
Particularly in the good school districts, I'm sure.
well, it really does. I
Yeah.
think the prices are a direct reflection of the schools. That's not unique to Florida.
No, it's
that's
not.
everywhere.
And even if you don't have kids, you want to buy in a good school district, so the resale is good. But
That doesn't change.
yeah,
It's
it's standard.
It's really standard, and so that's something that people look at, and it's a question that people ask me about all the time.
Yeah.
And Florida, as you know, does have a school grading system, and it's available, and you can check. What are the grades on the schools? That my child will be going to, and you can look it up, and you can make a judgment call.
Yeah. And you'll know kind of
It's
how your
there.
house is going to
Yeah,
sell.
It's there. Yep.
I want to switch now to talking about homesteads. Can you tell us what a homestead is and
Yes,
what's
and
beneficial about
actually,
it?
we're right in the height of homestead exemption application season. Because in order to apply for your homestead for 2020, actually the deadline is March 1st for your homestead exemption application.
For this year.
For this year.
You might want to repeat that for folks.
Okay, so for, actually, yes, you had to get your homestead exemption application for 2020, you have to have owned the home as of January 1, 2020. It has to be your primary residence as of January 1st, 2020. Which
So basically
really
you had to have
means
signed.
you had to have been in there 2019. Okay, is basically what I'm saying. So you could have filed your application in 2019. We get a little couple of months overlay into 2020 in terms of the paperwork to be filed. But you had to have all your ducks in a row by the end of 2019 to be a resident as of January 1st, 2020. But basically, homestead exemption provides a number of valuable benefits to Florida residents. The first thing is that essentially it's a bit of a formula, but the first $50,000 of the value of your home is exempt from real estate taxes. So simple, if it was a $300,000 value, basically you're going to be taxed on $250,000, roughly. Again, it's a bit of a formula. About a savings of about $1,000. Okay, not, it's significant.
Yeah.
But no,
I'll take it.
Right. What may be a greater savings is that once you've established your homestead, your increases are capped at no more than 3% a year. So at a time of rising values, which we are in, that's going to keep your real estate taxes down.
So it's capped at 3% per year?
It cannot be increased more than 3% per year.
That's great.
Exactly. So it really does. And that's where you'll find over the course of 10, 20 years in a property, you'll say, my goodness, my neighbor's paying so much less taxes than I am. The reason is they established their homestead.
Sooner.
And those taxes have just been going up very, very slowly.
So the sooner you establish your homestead, the better.
The better. But again, you have to be a Florida resident. It has to be your primary resident. This is, where you live. You have to have your driver's license there, your car registered there, your voter ID.
You have to live here more than 6 months out of the year.
Exactly. I mean, this is where you live.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you will be entitled into the homestead exemption.
Is that transfer? We only have like a minute before
Yeah.
we have to go. The show really flies by with
Yeah.
you. So can you transfer it when you sell the property? It transfers.
Yes, we do have a concept called portability, and you can port your low homestead basis to your new property. And there's a calculation that's made. It's a kind of an algorithm. But there is a benefit. If you had a low homestead in your property and you're buying a more expensive home, you can port that homestead over. There's a form you fill out that goes with your new homestead exemption application. You put it together, you submit it together, and you will get the benefit.
And it just follows you wherever you go.
It follows you. You have to do it, though. It must be ported within 2 years.
Okay.
Okay, it has to be, the new purchase has to be within 2 years.
Well, I've enjoyed speaking with you. Give them your number and your phone number and your website again.
Sure, it's 561-443-7124, and my website is mwfloridalaw.com.
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us, and we're going to talk to you next week when we talk about your business law and how
to
you
that.
can help small businesses and help make sure that they don't sign contracts to get them in trouble.
Absolutely.
Well,
Nice being with you.
Nice
Thank
being
you.
with you. Bye.